You're still waiting for your real life to start, aren't you? The one you wake up excited, where your work matters, where you're making the difference you came here to make. You believe that life is somewhere out there, but in the future. And after you figure out what your purpose is, after you save enough money, after the kids are older, after you have more time, more clarity, more courage. But your current life, this is just, the before time, the holding pattern, the dress rehearsal. You're a waitress in your own life, serving tables until you can afford to do what you really came here to do. Your job, just paying the bills. Your routine, just getting by. Your days, well, just passing. You're living in the waiting room of your own existence. And here's the question that might change everything. What if you're not waiting for your purpose to begin? What if you're already living it, but just completely wrong? What if the life you're dismissing as just for now is exactly, the container you need, but you're sleepwalking through it? Stay with me here, because this might be tough to hear. You think your purpose is out there somewhere, a different job, a different life, a different you in a different context, finally doing the thing you were meant to do, right? But what if purpose isn't a destination? What if it's not a title or a career or a calling you're going to discover someday? What if purpose is a frequency, a way of being, a quality of presence, a level of consciousness you bring to whatever you're already doing? Because here's what I'm seeing. You're bringing your half asleep self to your current life while saving your fully awake self for some imaginary future. You're phoning it in at work because it's not my real work. You're going through the motions at home because you're mentally somewhere else. You're postponing your presence until you're finally doing something that matters. Meanwhile, your actual life, the one actually happening right now, passing you by. And the cruelest irony, the consciousness you're waiting to bring to your dream life is exactly what would transform the life you already have. And let me ask you something. That job you don't like, the one you're just, doing for the money, what if you brought your full self to that job tomorrow? Your creativity, your presence, your gifts, your energy. What if you stopped treating it like a placeholder and started treating it like sacred work? Not because it is sacred, but because you are. What if you led that meeting like it mattered, connected with that difficult coworker like they were a soul you were meant to touch, solve that problem with the same creativity you bring to your dream work? I know what you're thinking, but it's corporate bullshit, Gavin. It's meaningless. It's not what I'm meant to do. And, you might be right. Maybe you are meant to do something else eventually, but right now, today, you're there in that job, in that life with those people, and you have a choice: show up or check out. You've been checking out for years, saving your best self for later, for someday. And here's the hard truth. If you can't bring consciousness to this, you won't bring it to that. If you can't be present in the life you have, you won't magically be present in the life you want. If you can't find purpose in what you're doing now, getting a different job won't fix that. You'll just bring the same unconscious approach to new circumstances. All those spiritual books you've read, the ones about presence, about consciousness, about being here now. They weren't talking about someday. They were talking about this day, this moment, this boring Tuesday at your job you don't like. Ram Dass wasn't saying be here now when your life is finally get interesting. Eckhart Tolle wasn't saying the power of now once you find your purpose. They were saying this right here, right now. This is it. This is your life, not the one you're planning, not the one you're waiting for, this one now. And you're treating it like a rough draft. But what if there is no rough draft or final draft? What if this is this actual manuscript, that conversation with your kid this morning that you were half present for because you were thinking about work, that meeting where you stayed quiet because it doesn't really matter anyway. You didn't like the job. That moment with your, partner where you said, fine, instead of what you really felt. Those aren't throwaway moments before your real life begins. Those are your life, and you're not showing up for them. You're waiting for a stage grand enough to actually match your gifts, but your gifts aren't waiting. Okay. Your gifts are dying of neglect right now in the ungrand moments you're dismissing as not my purpose. And I don't know how many videos of mine you'd watch, but I can tell you this. I'm talking to myself too. I'm not on some mountain having it all together. I haven't necessarily been sharing my gifts either to the degree I could be or want to be. So I ask you a question. I ask myself, what would happen if you stopped waiting? If tomorrow you walked into your job, the one you don't like, and you brought the full force of who you are, not because you're going to stay forever. Maybe you won't. Maybe this is just a chapter. But what if you inhabited this chapter completely instead of skimming through it? What if you spoke your truth in meetings instead of saying stay, and you brought creativity to that boring project? You connected authentically with that person who always avoids you at work. You led from your values instead of just following a protocol. Made someone's day instead of just making it through your day. Not because your job demands it, because your soul does. And here's what I want you to know that happens because it happened to me. First, the job itself, it's going to start to change, or your experience of it does. When you bring consciousness to anything, it transforms. Maybe not into your dream job necessarily, but something more alive than what it is right now. The boss I had a problem with became my friend. Secondly, you start to change. You can't show up fully and stay the same. Presence has side effects. Authenticity is contagious, especially to yourself. The monotony of the job became my way of living from presence, not on the outcome, but on what and who I was being. Thirdly, doors are going to open, not because you manifested them, but because you're finally awake enough to see them and courageous enough to walk through them. I started getting, acknowledged and then sharing more and serving the rest of the team instead of just making it about me, which then provided me the meaning and purpose I was looking for. And the opportunities were always there for these things and ways of being. I just hadn't been present enough to notice them. And that's likely you right now, not present enough to see what is in front of you right now. Fourthly, your actual purpose is going to start to emerge, not from searching, not from figuring it out, but from living. Purpose, it reveals itself through engaged action, not distant contemplation. And here's what the mystics have been trying to tell us forever. There is no separation between the sacred and the mundane. Only sacred approached consciously and sacred approached unconsciously. Washing dishes, it can be meditation or misery. Depends on who's doing it. Corporate strategy meetings can be soul crushing or soul revealing. Depends on the consciousness you bring. Driving your kids to school can be a chore or a chance to really see them. Depends on whether you're present. That weekly boring meeting can be the way to share your gifts. You've been dividing your life into this doesn't count and someday when I'm doing my real purpose. But what if it all counts? What if every interaction is a chance to practice being who you came here to be? What if your purpose isn't a what? It's a how. And maybe you weren't sent here to be a healer. Maybe you weren't sent here to bring healing to your workplace, your family, your community. Like just right where you are. Maybe you weren't sent here to be a teacher. Maybe you were sent here to teach by your example, by your presence, by how you show up when nobody's watching. And maybe you weren't sent here to be a leader. Maybe you were sent here to lead from wherever you're standing in whatever your role in, whether anyone gives you permission or not. The role doesn't make you sacred. You make the role sacred. So I'm going to ask you to do something pretty uncomfortable. For the next week, I want you to pretend this is your purpose, this job, this life, these people, these responsibilities. Not your someday purpose, your right now purpose. And I want you to bring the same energy, creativity, the presence, and care that you're saving for your real work down the road. Ask yourself every morning, if this was my sacred calling, how would I show up today? And then do that, not forever, just for 1 week. Show up to your job like it matters. Be present with your family like they're your purpose. Have conversations like they could change someone's life, because they can. Do the mundane tasks like they're spiritual practice, because they are. And bring the you're saving for later to right now, and watch what happens. I'm not saying you'll suddenly love your job. I'm not saying you won't still want something different eventually, but I am saying that you might discover something radical. You've been waiting for your life to begin while refusing to live the life you had. And the moment you stop refusing, the moment you fully inhabit this moment, this role, this day, everything shifts. Not the circumstances necessarily, but you, your experience, your aliveness. And that's what you came here for. Not a title, not a role, not external validation that you're doing something important. You came here to be alive, awake, present, fully expressed. And you can do that anywhere, even here, even now, even in the job you don't like. Your purpose isn't waiting for you down, in the future. It's waiting for you to wake up in the present moment, the life you're living right now. It's not a mistake. It's not a detour. It's not the wrong story. It's your story, the only one you have. And you're the only one who can bring it to life. Not someday, today. Not when things are different, when you are different. And you become different by being present to what is, not by escaping to what could be. So stop waiting for your real life to start. This is your real life. This is the moment, this breath, this choice. What are you going to do with it if this hit you? Let me know in the comments. Tell me one thing you're going to bring to your presence. And if you're ready to, practice presence daily as, what's possible, create it. I don't want to just create these videos and then leave you hanging. Right? I'm following what I came here to do, and I'm doing these same things, and I came up with a system. Your purpose is here now. You just have to show up for it. And if this sounds good and you want more help, I have a link below. Could be right up your alley of what you're looking for. Don't worry, it's free. I've written a book. I have a meditation app that helps people rewire their mind. And there's a free trial with that. So I invite you to share a comment. What did you think about this? What landed with you? Would love your support. And I like this video. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Come join our tribe. Come join this journey. And much love. We're going to have a good week.